here, it's as I said, it's long hope. You have this jump in expected inflation. I'm not saying you should go against the crowd, against the current trend. It may continue for more few weeks, but I suspect by end of the year, beginning of next year, you will have the top in terms of inflation expectation. You will have a top in terms of rates. You will have a top in terms of the dollar strength. And at some point next year, it will revert to some extent. The good news is that, yes, you have, again, some good opportunities in EM. You cannot really see that, but just to explain that we look at different bonds, emerging market bonds in dollars. We have the yield to maturity of these bonds. This one is Brazil, 2024. This one is Portugal. About the same rating, I will say, okay? Back in February, you were paid 7.5% to have Brazil in your portfolio. You were paid something like 4 or 5% to have Portugal. So probably, just very basically, assuming it's about the same credit risk, you are really paid for the risk to have Brazil. The problem we had back in August is that then it was down to 3%. So, okay, Brazil is improving, but at 3%, I think everything is in the price. So by showing that, we were telling, if you really want something with some juice and some risk, buy Portugal. At least you are 5% and not 3%. Then, it's not even updated. Because of Trump election, again, you had a spike on that. The best concrete example I found is Pemex. I think that everybody on the market knows that Pemex does oil. Everybody knows that it's a kind of national company in Mexico, and they may face some difficulties going ahead. And because everybody knows that, now these bonds in euro, 2022 paid 3.5%. 1 month ago, it was paying a 1.2, 1.5. So now I think for 3.5, if you look at the European market, it's like a high yield bonds. So it's already priced in. I suspect that many things, bad things have been priced. So buy and hold, it's interesting, or at least it's more interesting than 1 month ago. So what we are doing, it's, and we are speaking also with Ignacio and Alejandra in order to say, okay, what we want to do is that in the bonds, we know that at some point next year, there will be again a decrease in rates. So we are trying to manage a little bit the duration exposure to not to be too much exposed, to be able then to benefit from the revert. And in the equity, we say, okay, in the equity, if things continue to improve, and we are wrong, you have many stocks or many sectors that will continue to benefit from that, and valuation of these stocks are cheap. Which are these stocks? It's essentially industrial and financial. So we play, if you want, we believe at the reflation story in the equity bucket, and we protect from the reflation story in the bonds bucket. So just to give you also a flavor, if you had a client say, oh, don't buy bonds, bonds are very risky, that was a good call 1 month ago. But if he told you, instead of buying bonds, you know, you buy this kind of defensive stock, which has a kind of dividend yield that are very defensive, not too much related with financial, with cyclical, the result is that your client lost 15% with his investment in equity that seems to be defensive. So probably it was best to remain in bonds. He would have lost only 4 to 5. So it depends. Having equity is not enough. You have to pick the right sectors. So we tend to do this mix of kind bonds in the bonds and equities in the equity bucket.